Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I make videos about witchcraft, paganism, spirituality, and other related topics, so feel free to hit subscribe if that sounds like something interesting to you. So today is kind of going to be a little bit of a hot take. Unfortunately, this is a hot take nowadays. Well, I don't know. So let's get started. Before we start, I just wanted to say that I don't mean to sound condescending throughout this video. I'm more so expressing my frustration with the growing problem of misinformation within the community, which I know has always been an issue, but especially now with the internet is being spread very fast, and I'm seeing a lot of disrespect for the craft, so I just wanted to let you know that. You need to do research. If you are going to call yourself a witch, you need to do research. Same with the occult. Anything in this kind of sphere, research is integral, and I'm going to kind of be going over the common things that I'm seeing people do and kind of a few of my research tips because this is an issue at this point. Number one, stop using Pinterest and TikTok as sources or any other social media or Instagram, whatever it is. Stop using those as sources. If you're going to make a claim, you're going to need legitimate sources to back up that claim. For example, if you're going to make a claim about a deity, let's say, I don't know, Zeus, and your source is a TikTok video, that is not an accurate source or a good source, nor is it likely to be an accurate claim. We're gonna need real sources, mythology, historical sources, stuff like that. Same with if you're talking about the historical origin of something, stop citing social media sources, please. Anything where just anyone can post. Please cross-reference your sources and use legitimate sources. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about the origin of tarot and link an Instagram account or an Instagram post. I'm going to want books, I'm going to want historical sources, reputable articles from reputable websites, not social media sources. Please, please stop doing this. I do see this all the time now where someone makes a claim, I ask for their source, they source a TikTok video, they source an Instagram post. Please don't do that. Please. And if you do see something on one of those sites that piques your interest, cross-reference it, which leads me on to my next thing. When you are doing research, cross-reference. My rule of thumb is 3 sources. So it could be a book, it could be a website, sometimes YouTube videos have good information. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube, you know. I try to give out the best information I can, but even then, cross-reference everything I say, because we are fallible and we make mistakes. If you ask another practitioner, take what they say into account, and then cross-reference it just to make sure, because it is not the best decision to just take what someone says at face value. And if I'm ever wrong, I would want people to correct me. But I see this a lot where people will get offended when someone corrects them. And it's not a personal attack. It's not a personal attack. In my opinion, you should value accurate information over your ego. And if you are taking people correcting you when you know you're wrong, as a personal attack, you need to do shadow work. Speaking of shadow work, let me know if you want me to do a video on that. But anyway, that's besides the point. Don't take it as a personal attack when people correct you, and please, before you put something out there, research it. Don't just see a random video or a random post and decide to spread that information before researching it, because that contributes to the spread of misinformation, and that harms our community and it harms beginners because then they're getting incorrect information. My next thing is, if you have access to books, read books. If you don't have a lot of money, you can try buying secondhand. If you can't do that, try going to the library or looking for PDFs of some books, but please don't pirate books, because we are a small community and we need to be supporting each other in every way that we can. And that's another topic for another time. But if you can, please try to read books. Like a book about tarot or a book about spirit work is going to have a lot more information than a YouTube video or a website page, although those can be used. Not all books are good, but I'd recommend you read multiple books on things so that you can try to get the best information that you can. Now, another thing you can do is listen to podcasts. Also, if you want to distinguish whether a book is good or not, look into the author, who they are, how long they've been practicing, what their reputation is on the community. Look at book reviews. I have really filtered out some bad books just by looking at real practitioners' reviews, because there are times where I'll look at the reviews and people will say, well, this book had a lot of misinformation about this. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll pick up another one. I'll take a look at this later on in case it has any kind of information once I know more about the topic, right? But it's best to vet out those kinds of books by looking at reviews and their reputation in the community and whether or not other practitioners endorse them and such. Next is, if you're interested in working with an entity, or if you're interested in paganism, if you're interested in any kind of path of that sort, study the mythology. Now, this book, Encyclopedia of Spirits by Judika Isles, is a great starting point. You can learn, there's so many entities from so many different paths in here, and it's a great book for learning about different entities and even different paths that you might not have known existed. Once you've done that, though, you're going to want to look into the actual mythology from that time, if possible. So if you're working with the Hellenistic pantheon, try to find books or whatever you can find that contain the mythology of that deity that you're interested in. Now, of course, the mythology is very important in terms of learning about a deity and stuff like that, but remember that it is not literal. A lot of it is symbolic, so just remember that. This leads me on to UPG, Unverified Personal Gnosis. UPG is fine, it's great. You can listen to other practitioners and what their experiences have been. You know, I've had experiences with deities, with spirits, ancestors, that some of it I would share, some of it I wouldn't because some of it's too personal, but that's besides the point. Don't let that replace studying the lore and the mythology and just the beings in general. Another point I have is beginners need to research before doing spell work. So please don't jump into spell work before research. In some traditions, you need to research for a year and a day. That's not necessary for every single witch, in my opinion. It's just one tradition. Some people say like 3 years, 5 years, which I don't agree with. I think that it is important to at some point start spell work. You don't have to spend like 10 years reading books and never doing any spell work. The research never ends. However, if you're a beginner, I'm gonna need you to research cleansing, protection, banishing. It's also beneficial to research meditation. I might do separate videos on all of these topics anyway. And just before you do anything, research it. Before you start doing tarot, research it. Research its origins, research the different card meanings, research what it's about and everything. Before you start spirit work. Research how to do spirit work, how to banish negative entities, what could go wrong, the spirits that you are working with. Again, research is key. It's super important, and if you don't want to do it, then this might not be the right path for you. I know for me it's fun. For me, it's one of my favorite parts of my practice. For some people that's not the case, but they do it anyway, and that's fine. You don't have to be super ecstatic, be like, yes, research, but at least put the time into it and learn about it if you really want to be serious and not get hurt because you can get hurt if you don't do the right amount of research. My last point, last thing I think people need to be researching more in our community is cultural context and origins. What do I mean by this? If you're working with a deity and you don't know a lot about the cultural context, you're missing out on a lot of what they are and kind of getting to know exactly what you're working with. So just look into that. Look into the cultural context, and it doesn't even have to be just with spirits, with your practices, and give credit where credit's due, because that's something that people don't always do. And I think it's important to research the cultural context because it actually provides a lot of insight into the practice and kind of gives you a more accurate and more holistic view of what you're learning about. Before I go, here's my research tips. Find reputable websites. Think of the times where in school or in college they taught you how to research, and apply it to this as well. It might seem like you don't have to be as serious, but you really do have to be serious about this. Next, like I said earlier, I already told you how to find good books, you know, look into the author and reviews and everything. You know, just cross-reference. That's my #1 tip, cross-reference. And try to find primary sources of things as well. So historical and all of that stuff. And make sure the books you're reading have bibliographies, because if they don't, that's kind of a red flag. But anyway, that is all I have for you today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know it was a little ranty at times, but it needed to be said. So I love you all. Blessed be. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. Bye.